There you go. Do it.
What?
1, 2, 3, 4. Hey guys. Hey
Hey
guys.
guys!
Welcome to another episode of Parental Guidance with the Base Fam. I'm Ian.
I'm Taylor.
I'm Jess.
Hey, welcome. As you see, we have our special guest host here today. Jess is in the house. My wife, my beautiful wife. Taylor's beautiful mother. What's up, Jess?
What's up, guys? How are you? Thanks for having me on the show.
You're very welcome. Now, this show almost didn't happen because we had a really late lunch. My lunch was really bad. Taylor was tired. Jess was a little cranky. But we made it happen. I'm mad about these mics. I bought these mics thinking there was 3 of them, but only 2 work at one time. So not happy with these mics, but the show must go on. So how you guys feeling?
Good, tired. Still after I took a nap.
How about you, babe?
I'm doing good too. I wasn't cranky. He's cranky.
No, I'm
They
not.
both were cranky. They both they were.
So were you, Tay?
No, I wasn't. I was just tired, but I don't take it out on.
Now, we're back to the mic pass.
Yep. So that's it.
So man, lately I've been watching the news, and this episode is really inspired by that girl that's been missing in the Dominican Republic. I think if you guys have been living under the rock, you probably haven't seen it. But if you haven't, you've seen this girl. I don't want to butcher her name, but she's an Indian girl that lives in the Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. And she went on spring break in Punta Cana.
Yeah.
Taylor, have you seen that?
No.
Well, there's a missing girl. She's 20 years old and she's missing. She was seen at the beach with some guy and her friends, and they all went back, and she was still gone missing. So it just made me think about like safety for your kids and your teenagers and your young ones, your young adults. So the title of the show today is Stranger Danger, and we're also going to talk about sleepover. So why are you laughing? It's not funny. You laugh?
Sleepovers.
Oh, okay. So basically, stranger danger. Whew, I know that for us, me and Jess, this is the craziest thing that I remember. We went to SeaWorld, babe, and it was like that swirly little thing that we were like it pushed you. It was kind of like a lazy river, but not. And like it was like a I don't know how we did it, but like you got on and the water would just push you, but you could just slide with your feet. Do you remember that? We were with Maddie and Ava
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
Taylor. I think Taylor was with us because Taylor,
No,
yeah, because it was SeaWorld. We went to Disney.
I don't remember.
So anyway, remember Maddie got lost, and I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
my heart sank because like the whole waves. We were exiting out of the wave pool or whatever it is. Not a wave pool. It's like a lazy river, but it's like a fast lazy river. And I remember we exited, and we just saw Maddie just keep going on and on and on. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was already too late for me to go get her. And I just remember you saying, I don't know if you remember this, saying, Maddie, stay on and go back onto this exit. And thank God, 3 minutes later or 2 minutes later, she was. So to me, that was one of the scariest times. You hear a lot of kids going missing in number one in Florida or in Disney World or all those attractions. You go to like a gift shop, so many missing kids. But I know that there's times I think we've. I know one time I couldn't find one of the kids in the mall. It was like in Macy's. I remember, wasn't it Macy's? I don't know if it was Ava or Taylor or Maddie. So but my like your heart sinks. So it's so scary. So hopefully that father finds his young daughter safe and sound, that she's just somewhere, I don't know, but like hopefully she's found safe and sound. So nothing scarier than that. But let's talk about stranger danger. So let's talk about the internet first. Taylor, do you remember me always telling you when you play Fortnite not to tell anybody where you live, what where you are, what you're doing, how old you are, things like that, like personal information?
So since I was born, my dad, mostly my dad. I mean, you telling me, but like not that much. My dad, don't tell anyone your name. Say a fake name. Say your fake age. Don't say where you live, the country. Don't say what state. Make up anything. Don't tell them the truth. I
True.
don't give any information out. Don't give my number out on the internet. Don't be posting stuff, that could.
Well, because I'm a little crazy, so I used to listen to a podcast called Crime Junkie,
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. It's
and
too
basically there
late.
was one story where the girl, this is like back in the days, I think like the early 2000s. She gave her information to some guy. She was by herself in the house. He ended up like kidnapping her, finding out where she lived, and he took her to like a warehouse and like murdered her. So I know this is very like scary, but this is true. So, babe, do you have any things to say about like the internet dangers and all that?
Yeah, I think one of our, probably as parents, our biggest fear is that, one of our kids meets someone crazy online. And I'm not saying the internet is all bad, but we know that there's a lot of bad people that are doing bad things that use the internet, predators and all kinds of things like that. So we always, actually, the other day, we sat down, Ian and I sat down with Caleb and Taylor and talked about the internet and talked about the phone and just the different things that they have to be aware of. And unfortunately, in our world, there's a lot of bad things going on. And you guys have access to everything, like on your phones, right in your hands. And I think that although it could be really good, unfortunately, so many people use it for the wrong. So we're always trying to make our kids aware of, be careful what you post, be careful of who you speak to. Even Caleb, like playing on video games and like Roblox and Fortnite,
Fortnite,
you can
yeah.
like meet all kinds of different people on there, and it could be great. But there was one time one of you guys were playing and they were talking to like a grown man, and it was really scary. And you were like, Taylor, I remember you telling me like, I think this guy's really old. I don't know if you remember that.
And
No.
no, what's so crazy is I tell these kids because I have a crazy mind. Like, be careful because you think these kids are like kids, and next thing you know, they have voice
This is
changers.
what my dad says to me on Fortnite.
Yeah, yeah,
If this is like, let's say, a 7-year-old just like messing out with us, like asking us like stuff, like, no, Taylor, like, no. He has a voice changer. If you tell him anything, he's gonna come here to Colombia. He's gonna kidnap you, and you're gonna be slaughtered, and you're gonna be missing, and your parents are gonna be worried for you, and you're never gonna see your family again because you made the choice of thinking that it was a little boy, but it was an old man.
yeah. So I
And also,
exactly.
I don't know why my mom's speaking in that soft tone. You guys all have those moms who always be changing their voice in that certain in the calls with important people. Oh
She's just a
yes,
nice person.
Stacy. Oh yes. We
You know,
have
like she was just yelling at me 5 minutes before
guys.
we
If you
go.
heard her voice 5 minutes before, wouldn't be thinking the same thing.
But back to what we were talking
Taylor,
about.
shut up.
Back to what we were talking about. I always tell Taylor and Caleb, like, hey, don't assume that's a little boy or a little girl. That could be a grown 50, 60, 45 year old, 40-year old man trying to be a little girl, trying to find out things, trying to gain your confidence. You know, we used to, there was a thing, that show where it was a detective. She was a girl. She was probably in her 30s. She had like kids already, but she was pretending to be like a young girl. But it was like the opposite. Like she was trying to catch predators, like older men. But it's the same thing. Like, you never know who you're talking to. So parents, make sure you're checking your kids' phones. And also, we finally have their passcodes. Me and Jess didn't even have their passcodes. We didn't even know how to access their phone. We asked for their passcodes, their Apple IDs, and all that stuff. So it's just good to have some type of watch. Of course, you don't want to invade too much of their stuff because then it's kind of like annoying. But you at least want to have some type of control on your kids' internet and TikTok. Like I tell Taylor, always be careful with like the people you interact with TikTok or Instagram or wherever. Snapchat. I don't even know what you guys use now. What do you guys use? More TikTok?
TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat.
Okay, so just to be careful with that. I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about that, babe?
Well, I just think as parents, we just have to be really like careful Why are you laughing?
The soft voice is not giving.
Do you want me to yell? Anyways, I think it's really important, like Ian was saying, as parents, just to be like really careful and really teach your kids to be aware and to be careful with just kind of the outside world, the internet, just everything, all your surroundings. So I think that Ian does a really good job always talking about it and really expressing it to the kids just to be careful, to be aware. And it's not only online, but also, outside in school, even with people that you think you may be safe with. So I think it's just building in your family that awareness that needs to that needs to happen, those conversations, to never be afraid to talk to your kids about the internet and what's going on in the world. We're really open with our kids about everything, sometimes a little too much, and they think that they have the right to say anything about anything. But I think it's a good thing. I think it's an environment that we've created in our home, and I think it has a positive
Yeah,
outcome to be able to really be
absolutely.
open about everything.
Taylor, have you had any type of like creepers on your DMs or any type of creepy people on your social media? I'm sure you keep it like private, but
Yeah.
people
Yeah,
be like, "Hey, what's up?" And they're like,
and it's like old Indian men. I mean, like, no hate to the Indian men, but
"But any
they're
man,
like 60. They're mostly Indian. I promise you, in my Instagram, my DMs, like, I just accept everyone's follow requests because, and I follow them back. But then when they DM me, and it's like, hey, how old are you? Like, oh no, thank you. And then they
you
start
block
like,
them?
yeah, I blocked them.
Good.
Also in Snapchat, like you don't know, like it doesn't. They don't have photos. Like they don't. It's not an account. So if they send you a snap, like you just see like old men, like, and I just unfriend them right away.
Well, that's good. I mean, one thing that really important as parents is kind of like Jess was talking about. You really got to talk to your kids about the safety of the internet, the safety tips, the watch out for this. Keep talking about it. Sometimes, in a way, kind of scare them about it because these kids they're not thinking like us. They're just having fun. So they're just talking to people on Fortnite, talking trash, playing games, playing what is it, 2v2, 3v3 tournaments, 4v4, and they're not thinking about like somebody's just trying to really catfish me or trying to get me and try to tell me where I live, tell me how old I am, tell me where I go to school so they can try to kidnap and do bad things. So they're not thinking about that. So you as parents, I think it's very important to kind of bring that awareness to your children and to your kids, your teens. So it's very important that you guys do that on a regular basis. I wouldn't say daily because it doesn't have to be that extreme, but I think like when I see these stories on I watch YouTube because we don't really get American channels here, but on YouTube that this girl's missing. Not and we'll talk about that too, but like anything can happen to your kids if you're not safe and you're not just kind of exposing it, talking about it, right?
Yeah, I think we can't live in fear, but at the same time, we have to be aware at all times.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you remember as a kid, Stranger Danger?
I remember all the commercials that talked like Dare always talked about like stranger danger and like
Well, it wasn't there about drugs though.
was it about
I
drugs?
think I think it's talking about
What's the other thing?
the I think it was more about like public service announcement, social service
Yeah,
announcements
yeah, Dare
back in
was
the
about drugs,
80s.
yeah. But yeah, I'm old, so um they talked a
The
lot about
PSAs, the public service announcements, like
to be careful. Do you know where your kids are at 10 o'clock? Like all those kind of things that talked about like kids and kids going missing. And, I remember going to the supermarket, and like in the supermarkets, they have like those pictures of the kids posted, that said like missing or things like that. So my mom would always be like, you have to be careful. And, I grew up in the Bronx in New York. So I lived in the ghetto. So I had to take like the bus and the train and things like that to get to school without my mom. And I had to take care of my siblings because I was the oldest. So my mom would always tell me, like, you have to be careful. You have to watch the people around you when you get off the bus or when you get off the train. Check if there's anybody following you, and things like that. I remember like being followed a lot of times getting off the train, because where I got off the train, I had to like go up these huge ginormous stairs, and there'd just be weird people and guys and things like that. So I was always like running, like running up the stairs and running up the hill that I had to go up to, because I was always scared. But I have had experiences, especially as a teenager, of like people following me as I go home, and like you just like start walking little by little, and then you realize like somebody's behind you, and then you like start speeding up and going really fast, and then your heart is racing so fast. So I think that was part of where I grew up, that I had to like face those challenges. And then when we got married and stuff, since we moved, I felt a little bit safer. But even when I was in the military, sometimes I've had some experiences where it's like I've been scared, because even, being on a military base and stuff like that doesn't make you 100% safe. So I've had some pretty like scary scares of just feeling fear.
Yeah, I always thought like those things only happen like desolate, like isolated areas. But I know there's something happened in like Manhattan where a kid got was missing, like a little girl or a teen went missing, and basically it can happen anywhere. I remember me biking, and thank God nothing ever happened to me. But it was so like quiet in my Queens neighborhood during the day. I mean, night got crazy, but in the day, I would just bike around, and I'm glad nothing ever happened to me because like nobody would have known. Like I used to pass by people's driveways, garages, and somebody could have just taken me, but thank God nothing happened. So I think that's just very, very, very scary for kids. But of course, we don't want, like you said, babe, you don't want to live in fear. You want to let your kids have fun. I remember when we first moved to our Long Island house, the one that we bought, and there was like woods behind. It was so scary.
Oh, no way.
But we're not going to talk about that. Let's talk. Let's move on. Let's move on. If you have any comments or questions about stranger danger, and if whatever you guys have any tips, put them on the comments field. Um, let's move on to sleepovers because this is a big topic. And I saw this the other day on Instagram. I can't take credit for the things I'm about to say because a lot of the things this guy said on Instagram, it was just like a reel. He said it. He said it really, really well. He was not in favor of sleepovers, but just to give you a little background on how me and Jess started with Maddie, my goodness, we made so many mistakes as parents. That's why I'm doing this podcast, and Jess is on it sometimes, and with Taylor now, and before Ava. But like, this is to really show that we made so many mistakes, and maybe parents that you can learn from our mistakes by listening to this. One of our biggest mistakes, babe, is letting Maddie sleep over God's creation everywhere. And thank God nothing has happened to her because of those sleepovers. So do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember Maddie was one of those kids that like, I mean, we grew up in where we raised her was a different type of neighborhood than where you and me grew up,
Yeah,
right? The
suburbs.
suburbs, and kind of like what you see on TV, nice houses and big lawns and big houses and stuff like that. So there's like I think in our minds, coming from where we came from, maybe like a false sense of security. And you think, oh, like we live in a nice neighborhood, and you just have this image of like where we came from. It's like so bad because it looks so ghetto and stuff. And then you go to these places. But I think in a lot of those times in those places, really bad things happen because things look so nice on the outside. And there's a lot of things being hidden on the inside. And I just remember Maddie was always that kid that was invited to like sleepovers all the time, or, a friend lived like 2 blocks away. And we were like, I don't even think we ever questioned it. Like we were like, oh, she got invited. Like, okay, we let her go. And you would always tell me like, did you talk to the parents? Is everything okay? Like we were more worried about like, is she going to eat? Is she going to cry? Is something going to happen? Do you have their phone number just in case like, something happens and they want us to pick her up? But it wasn't, as I don't feel like for me in my mind, I was thinking like something could really happen. I think in my mind, I just at that we were young, we were in our 20s, and you're not thinking all these bad things. But looking back at it now, I'm like, man, I would never ever allow that or do that now. Knowing the things that I know now, like I really, like you said, I'm grateful that nothing happened to Maddie when she was little, going to those sleepovers and being with her friends. But she definitely went on a lot of sleepovers and slept in a lot of places.
Yeah.
And I totally regret that.
Taylor, do you remember going on sleepovers at all and feeling weird sometimes at a sleepover?
Feeling weird. I don't know if I've ever felt. Oh my gosh! I need to tell this one. I need to tell this one.
She's telling something, guys. I never heard of this.
I never told you guys.
Don't say any names or just.
No, I can say this name. It's one of my old friends. So I was at this one friend's house.
Don't say his name. Just do it general.
Okay, I was at this girl's house, right? And we were really good friends. I think I was in 6th grade. Yeah, I was in 6th grade or 5th grade. I think I was in 5th grade. And you guys let me sleep over her house, right? And we were really good friends, like the area was safe. It wasn't a big house, but it was like normal. And I remember that one sleepover. I forgot what it's called, but that message that pops up when someone goes missing, and it's like that emergency thing. So when I woke up in the middle of the night, it was 3 a.m. You know what 3 a.m. means, like the devil's hour, or whatever. So I was even more scared.
What?
How do you guys not know 3 a.m. is the devil hour? Anyways, so I was at her thing, and I just like had a weird vibe. Like the whole the way I felt in that house was just like really weird. Like I've never felt that way before, but I felt really weird. And plus, I was on the bed, and she was like next to me. She was sleeping, wherever she was dead, and I just woke up. What is that called? Oh, Amber Alert. Amber Alert. So I went off. I couldn't turn it off. I didn't know how to turn it off. Like I had no way to turn it off. So then her blinds were a little bit open, like like not like fully closed. So I was even more scared, and then I was just like thinking about clowns and stuff. I just had a weird feeling. I'm like, I'm getting kidnapped. Amber Alert.
And clowns.
Clowns. Freaking. The curtain. The blinds were a little open. I just had, and then when like you're scared and then you're really hot under the sheets, but you don't want to take your sheets off because then you feel like something.
I've done that even as an adult.
I was sweating. My armpits were sweating. Like I smell like empanadas.
You smell like empanadas.
So yeah, because I was sweating so much. So that was like the one time, my worst sleepover ever, and I couldn't go back to sleep. I think I stayed up till 6 a.m. because that's when my friend woke up.
So it wasn't like anybody in the house. It was just more like.
But it was
just like a bad feeling.
It was a really bad vibe, and then like the next day, I felt like
better, or no? Same.
Weird.
Let me tell you something. Even though it wasn't a sleepover, when we first bought our house, and I would hear things on the down in the kitchen. It was probably the cats. I would kind of stay in the blankets too and kind of sweat. I'm like, please don't. I was like, wish that it was just like something I didn't hear. Like I thought I was hearing things, and I would keep hearing it. That I had no choice but to man up.
Too, bro.
I would have to man up and go downstairs. Remember one time I took like a bat from the closet, and I was like, I'm really mad. I remember I yelled. This has nothing to do really like stranger danger or sleepover, but this is so funny when you said that. Like I would sweat in the covers. I'm like, God.
Dad, I remember a day I was sleeping on your floor because I was so scared that day because that house was scary. I always wanted to sleep with my mom and dad. So I keep hearing pots, right?
And I'm like, cats though, because I went downstairs like, man, there's nobody there.
And I woke up sweating again.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I smell like empanadas and onions.
I acted like I was asleep when my dad went downstairs, but I was scared.
No, but I was scared.
I was ready to hide under the bed.
I was scared.
That I didn't fit under.
Well, first of all, when we first moved there, I would hear cars all the time making a U-turn. I'm like, is somebody trying?
All right, let's stop.
All right, sorry. Anyway.
Sleepovers.
All right, sleepover. So for me, just to get right into it, like, thank God nothing ever happened to Maddie, Ava, or Taylor. And I don't think I'm going to let Taylor or Caleb ever go to a sleepover ever again.
What?
For real. Because let me tell you why. And this is what I saw in the...
See, like, parents always, like, do this. They see something and then it's like...
Okay, listen to me. Can you listen? So basically, when you have a sleepover, usually you know the kid and the parent or parents, right? Sometimes you don't even get to meet the dad or the mom. Sometimes you just get to meet the parent that you usually talk to. In this case, because where we are, just usually talks to the parents. So sometimes we don't see one of the parents. Sometimes just one. Then you have to account for, okay, when they're sleeping there, who else is living there? We don't know. We don't. I mean, those are the questions. I don't know if you parents out there ask. Who else is living in your house? Is there a tenant downstairs that may have access? Is there family members that are staying there now? Are there any crazy people with any type of crazy mental problems that we don't know of? Are there any people who had prior sex offender type of convictions that they had and now they're out of jail? You don't know that. So when you go to a sleepover, you're only thinking of the kid, one or two of the parents, but you have to account for everybody. And then it comes to the actual time of sleep. So they're probably playing or hanging out from the time you drop them off to, like, let's just say they're teenagers, 12, 1, 2, 3. But what happens from 3 a.m. to the time that they wake up? The parents are probably sleeping already. I know I've had sleepovers here in our house, not here, but in our house where I fell asleep and the kids are still. They could, number one, they can hurt themselves. Number two, you have to also protect them from their friends. You don't know what their friends can do, because we just saw a show where one of the kids ended up doing something bad to the other kids. Who are these people that live there? You don't have control. There's no way for you to know, even if your kid has a cell phone, they can neutralize that cell phone, whoever the offender is. So for me, it's just a lose lose situation. So I like what this dad said on Instagram Reels, his Reels. He said, if you want to stay longer, I'll wait an hour and pick you up and let you stay. If you want to go there for breakfast, say, oh, I want to sleep over because I want to have breakfast with them. Okay, we'll come back in the morning and I'll drop you off for breakfast. But we're no way in heck that you are going to sleep over there and I'm going to risk you hurting yourself, because at that time, let's just say you screamed and you yelled and the parents came, something bad could already happen and that already traumatized you for the rest of your life. And I was watching a show and the girl was so traumatized by one of her teachers that did something to her, she ended up killing herself. And to me, it's not even worth it, man. Let's just not do sleepovers. I think, hey, comment. Parents out there, or whoever's watching, comment. Are you for or against sleepovers? Tell me why. And maybe you disagree with me. But for now, Jess and I, no sleepovers.
So if I told you I wanted to stay 1 hour more, you would let me?
Yes, I would have to, because that's something that is a compromise of not sleeping over.
So if I wanted to go for breakfast, you would drive me?
I'd
You would
drive.
wake up early to
And go
drive
there
me?
again. Yep.
All right, let's see.
No, it's for your safety. It's not just let's see. It's really, I have to protect you. That's my job and that's your mom's job, right, babe? Go ahead. You can add to this.
Yeah, I think that, I remember when I was younger, my mom was not okay with me having sleepovers.
Great mom.
Eventually, she only let me at two girls' houses, and they were like my best friends when I was a kid, more as a teenager, not really a kid. But one of them was a single mom, and there was nobody else in the house at all. So it kind of like eased my mom a little bit. But she was very, very adamant about like sleepovers. No, no, no. And she always wanted everybody to come to our house, like not me have to go to anyone else's house. Obviously, as a teenager, you're kind of like, Mom, I hate you. And I hate that it's like this. And why can't I go? And my mom was really, really strict about everything. Like even going outside to the front door, going across the street to the store. But now that I've become a mom and we have four kids, it changes your perspective on everything. And like Ian was saying, I just feel like it's better to have your kids be mad at you and hate you for whatever reason, and be mad at you, than to expose them or make them vulnerable to any situation in any way. So I think that there's going to be a lot of situations, and we have faced a lot of situations where our kids have been mad at us, and Taylor can attest to that, for not allowing her or not letting her go somewhere or do something she really wanted to do. But it's never been because oh, Taylor, we hate you and we want to be miserable parents. It's because why expose her if we don't need to? I think this world already has its own set of issues that she's going to have to face when she goes into the world. So as long as we can protect her, I think it's the best thing that we could do.
Yeah.
And I think, we're all vulnerable in some way, but if we can protect her or her siblings in any way, I think it's just worth it. And like Ian was saying before, like we've just made bad choices and we've said, oh, this is a good idea. Or like I remember telling Ian one day when we let our oldest daughter Maddie go in a car with 3 guys that were her friends. They were gonna go to like a movie or something, and then I thought about it years later, and I'm like, why did I do that? Why did I say that was okay? And me and Ian fought for many years about like, trying to agreeing and trying to disagree with.
We still fight many years after.
Yeah, well, that's love, and we're still together 20 years later.
This podcast.
But about, hey, do you think that we should let this? And he would say yes sometimes, and I would say no, or he would say no, and I would say yes, and trying to compromise, and you're just trying to figure that out as a parent. But I think it's just really doing the best that you can, and sometimes you could protect your kids the most you possibly can, and things still happen, and you can't avoid them. So I think it's just for us, it's praying. I always pray for our kids, like wisdom to parent, and God protect them when they're in school, protect them while they're on the road, protect them with teachers, protect them, anywhere we go. It could be church, it could be anywhere. So I think it's really important just to, obviously we all parent differently, and all of our situations are different, but if you can protect your kid in any way possible, and even if they're going to be mad at you, let them be mad at you.
Yes, ma'am.
It's better that than putting them in a situation where they could be exposed to something that could ruin them forever.
So good. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like I want to protect Tay. Tay, I know you're probably like, I want to sleep over somewhere's house. It's so fun, but like at the end of the day, it's just I wouldn't be able to imagine life without you, or something bad happening to you. So I love you so much, and it's really for your good, like your protection, like your mom said, and even like I even think about like, is it even safe to have sleepovers here? Because what if that girl, your friend, is like, this is what the guy said in the reels, is like, don't even have people sleep over your house, because what if there's so much liability, something happens, your kid does something to that kid by accident, now you're on the hook for it, or the kid says something crazy about you and you weren't even near that person. So it's just alleviate that type of that danger. I think it's just sleepovers. Let's just keep your kids in your house, unless it's an emergency. I guess sometimes there's emergencies, but at the end of the day, if it's if it's something that you can protect your kid, Tay, I love you so much. I do not want anything happening to you. So, stranger danger, sleepovers. What do you feel about that, Tay?
I think that even though it's boring and annoying, and I hate when my parents don't let me do a lot of stuff, it's just because they care about me and they don't want anything happening
baby.
to
Come
me.
on.
Shut it. And and
I love you, my
all the
monkey.
teenagers that watch this, which I don't know if there are teenagers that watch
there's
this.
249 views. Last one, so somebody's watching it.
When your parents don't let you do something, they don't let you sleep over, they don't let you go out to a certain part. I was trying to say cierta parte.
Or Barrio Antioquia.
Or parties or anything. It's just because they don't want to risk your life. They want to see you alive.
Right. Yep.
They want to yeah, so they just want to take care of you. They don't mean it in a bad way, which I still have a hard time understanding that when my parents don't let me do certain stuff. But I think that
it's always for your good, though.
Yeah, it's always for our good. But there also are parents that do it because they're just annoying. But probably your parents don't do it because of that. So yeah.
Good stuff, Tay. This has nothing to do with sleepover, but I remember you were so mad at me around Christmas time because I didn't let you go to a concert in a neighborhood. But like I had such a bad feeling about it that I was like, nah, I'd rather Tay be angry at me for a day or two.
That was low-key annoying though, but whatever.
It was annoying, but you're sitting next to me, and I'm so glad that you're sitting next to me, because it could have been you not sitting next to me. You feel me? So
sure,
parents, sleepovers, comment below what you think, what you guys, do you guys have any other viewpoints on that? Do you guys have any type of thoughts on that? Because, hey, this is our stance right now, but that could change, or maybe we haven't thought of another angle to it. So I would like to hear from you, parents and kids. Like what Tay said, your parents love you, your parents care about you, they want to see you alive, they want to see you do well in life and be able to have your own spouses and kids and have grandkids, and so they just want to protect you as well. So with that said, do you have anything else you want to add with sleepovers or stranger danger? Tay, Jess, babe?
I guess the last thing I would add, just again, just to remind everyone, I think the best thing for us that has worked is really having conversations. Being self-aware, again, being aware, being able to just to talk about everything to your kids. Just being open, having an open relationship, because I think that's what allows us to be able to do things like this. That allows you guys to go on these podcasts
Yeah.
and share these kind of things, to be open about everything. This may be, a sensitive subject. It has to do with sex. It has to do with,
Or even like really, really bad stuff like
yeah,
rape,
really bad
murder,
stuff, all those
kidnapping.
kind of things. So it's not always easy to talk to your kids about that. But I think the sooner you can, that you feel like they're able to handle it, like we feel like our kids at this age are able to handle all those conversations. And I think that we can share with our kids, even when they're younger, the importance of just their bodies and being aware in a way that they can understand. And as they get older, being able to explain it to them in just a more raw and real way. But I think as parents, like, we're just sharing this because we've made the mistakes and we're grateful that it hasn't turned out worse. But now that we've gotten a little older, with Maddie, we were in our 20s, now we're in our 40s, and we have teenagers at this age. We can look back and say, man, I wish I would have done that a little bit different. So it's never too late,
Yeah.
to change it up, to think differently. And for us, asking God for wisdom, God help us, because our faith is really big in our family. So God give us wisdom to do the best that we can with our kids and make the best choices.
Yeah.
And that we would surround ourselves and our kids would surround, themselves with good people that have their best interests at heart.
Yeah, and I want to add two things. Is number one is with stranger danger, it's if you kids out there have like some type of gut feeling bad about somebody, because I know Taylor and Ava used to always tell me about certain people here. It's like I get some type of blank blank vibes.
We're not gonna say that.
But
We're not gonna mention that.
but we have, they've told me about certain people, and you got to just keep an eye on them. And kids, go with your gut instinct. Like I remember from Crime Junkie, they always said this, like, and they used to say this as like a tool, and they used to say if you have girls or guys, if you have like a gut instinct that something bad's about to happen, something bad's probably about to happen. So don't try to be cool and be like,
Trust your instinct.
yeah,
Always.
trust your instincts, trust your gut. If something's bad about to happen, you don't feel good about somebody in a room or being somewhere, run, get out of there, go for help, call the police, whatever it is. Really just go with your gut instinct, because a lot of times you're like, no, nothing's gonna happen. I'm just being paranoid. No, there's your body's sensing something bad. Go with it. Do something about it. It doesn't matter if you look stupid at the end. If you either look stupid and alive, then dead and cool. So that's number one. And number two, yeah, these conversations that we have with our kids, it's really open and honest, and it can't just be like, hey, don't do this because I say so, like we talked about a couple of episodes ago, or just don't do this, and kind of just like almost like in passing. Really have a sit down, like me and Jess just shared. We had to sit down with Taylor and Caleb here, saying about the dangers of internet, the dangers of strangers, the dangers of what things can happen. Not only just strangers, other things. The internet is a great thing. You can, I love ChatGPT, but there's so many bad things on the internet that you can also see, and those people. And one of those bad things are strangers coming into your home, trying to do something to your family or your kids. So just be careful and just have those conversations, have those honest, open, conversations, like Jess said. So
And I think the last thing, I know I said the last thing before, but is believe your kids. Like when they talk to you and
Oh, yeah.
they tell you maybe how they feel. You know, when Taylor and even Ava and Maddie have sometimes expressed like, I feel weird about this or this person or whatever. I know sometimes like as teenagers, kids are dramatic, right? Taylor's super dramatic sometimes and emotional and all those things. But I think it's really important that we believe our kids, you know, when they talk to us and they share things with us and, you know, they tell us like, I felt weird about this or this person made this comment or, you know, I think in whatever it is, believe them when they tell you something. And if you need to speak up and you need to get help and you need to say something, do so. I think
yeah,
that's
good
really
stuff.
important.
Good stuff. Taylor, you want to add anything?
You guys said it all.
Well, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions, comments, anything to add, like, share, subscribe, view, do whatever it is that you have to do.
View. That wasn't part of it.
Well, view. Oh, yeah, okay.
They're already viewing
Hey,
it.
did we talk about our 100 subscribers? Did we thank them yet?
No, we haven't.
Oh, we have to thank them. Come on, let's clap it up. 100 subscribers. We have 101 actually.
101. Thank you,
so
everybody.
much. And thank you for watching. Our views have been going up, so
Yeah.
thank you for making this dream of ours come true. I hope you were blessed by this episode, that you were able to kind of get some nuggets, and I got some nuggets that I shared from somebody else about stranger danger and sleepovers. And again, if you have anything to say, just comment. So we love you guys. See you in the next episode.
Bye.